Welcome to the JJ podcast with your hosts, Jovan and Jerrel.
Yes.
yeah.
Hello.
And today we have a
Hi.
special guest. It's Brandon.
Hey,
Who's
compa.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Salud, mon amis.
So then, today we're gonna be talking about a Western classic known as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is a review of the movie. So what our thoughts are. Bro.
Okay. I think the movie was pretty good. Honestly, I think that the comedy in the movie was done well, and it was used appropriately. It wasn't too. I don't think it was too excessive. It was a good amount, and I felt like it was enough to enjoy the movie without being overly serious. The action, it was pretty good for the time. For the time it was made in, I can understand that they weren't that advanced. So I understand that the action scenes, they left something to be desired, but I didn't mind it because, I don't really expect much. But other than that, I think the story was pretty decent. It got the film across, I think, but I think something I didn't like about the film was the way they paired the three, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which was Blondie, Angel Eyes, and Tuco. Because a lot of the times it was mainly just Blondie and Tuco. Angel Eyes was more of a supporting. Well, he wasn't supporting. He was the antagonist, but it felt like he was a supporting character because he had so little screen time. I just wish he was kind of more involved in the story. He was more part of them because they don't really get together, all three of them, until the end. So it just feels like mainly a story about Tuco and Blondie, and I kind of just wish it was different. But other than that, it was pretty solid. I think it was a solid.
All right.
Yes.
So, for me personally, I thought the movie was pretty good. I thought that the character Blondie and Tuco were pretty interesting characters overall because I don't know, Blondie was the typical, I guess, without I'll probably lift this out, the badass of the movie, and Tuco, he was kind of he wasn't a badass in the film, but he was a supportive character, but he was really important to the plot. So if they didn't have Tuco in the film, it probably would have come out way differently, because most movies have the protagonist and the antagonist, which if it were to just be Blondie and Angel Eyes, it wouldn't come out as good. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Tuco carries a lot of the movie. He has a lot of personality to the movie, and I don't think either of them could have done that. Blondie and Angel Eyes, because Tuco brought something to the movie that no one else brought, especially with a comedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Brandon, you have any thoughts?
Honestly, I normally don't watch Western movies, but this movie was something different. I mean, like you guys said, it had three different stories
Oh, gee.
of three different people into one film. Honestly, it was good. It's just that, like you said, Jovan, Tuco, if he wasn't in part of the film, it will be kind of eh. But honestly, the thing that made the movie was good was basically the cinematography and the way the camera movement made the film made it pop out more. And the fact that sometimes silence, remember that one scene where Blondie gives the cigar to the dying soldier, that little scene right there had a lot of emotion to it, even though it was silent, and you can understand what's going on. So it was taking a step further on cinematography.
So, the next thing we could talk about, you already sort of said some of it, but some of the scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of scenes in the movie that are pretty good. The first thing we could talk about, I think, probably, one of the first scenes. It's the first scenes are Angel Eyes, and I think the scene where it shows, it's right after the first scene, it's when Angel Eyes goes to that one guy. Like he was like, it was like an assassination job, right? And he gets some money. He like paid him to go assassinate someone, right? And then like he goes back to him and he tells him that he killed him, right? But then he no, he kills him there.
Yeah, because he accepts the money. He's like, I always keep my end of the deal.
Yeah, I feel like that's like it's like really important to the character of Angel Eyes. Like it shows a lot about that character.
His evilness.
Yeah.
But like if that scene is important, I think it's one of like the most important scenes in the.
It's like the
Yeah, I feel like it did a lot. I think it did a lot to develop Angel Eyes, but I feel like honestly that was probably, other than the scene in the prison, that was probably like one of the only scenes in the film that they used to kind of build Angel Eyes as a character, pretty much. Like I don't know, he didn't get much development other than that, and I kind of wish he got a little more.
Yeah, like he didn't like. I feel like this scene was like it introduces his motivations, you know, as an antagonist. Like just like, oh, he works for money, right? He only cares about money. So like that's like, but like it's really a really basic, like antagonist, I guess you could say, you know. Like I guess that's why like maybe if they developed him more, maybe if we had like a more of a attachment to the character, you know. I mean, I do have an attachment to the character. I just feel like it's a little bit basic. I get what you're trying to say, like with.
Yeah, I think he's solid as a character, but he leaves a lot to be wanted as an antagonist, because he doesn't really, other than his like basic motivation. Oh, I'm like a contract killer guy, and I do stuff for money, and I always keep my promise. Outside of that, he's not really a character. Other than that, maybe being sarcastic, because he was playing that like music.
His personality is kind of basic.
Yeah, I just wish that he would have more to him. Yeah. Well, but other than that, he was okay. I think for acting wise, he did what he could with the character. The actor who played him was pretty solid. He did a really good job, but I feel like with the script they gave him, he couldn't really do too much to develop the character on his like through acting.
Yeah, because basically that actor, he mostly all his films and TV shows he's done, the actual actor, he always plays the villain, and he knows how to. He's like basically a professional at being a villain, and I guess like you said, he couldn't do much because of the script, so that made him like, bleh. I don't know.
He was still a good character, like, you know.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much he could.
But we just wish there was like more to him, I guess. Like he was still a good
they should have
character,
fleshed him out more.
So we could get more into the acting. We make this little segment, you know.
Since we're discussing about that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think the acting for the most part was really good. Like the main issues I see with the characters in the film come more from the script than the acting. Cause the acting, maybe, well, for the most part the acting was good. I feel like with both Angel Eyes and Blondie, they're really serious, but I feel like it was pretty. I don't want to say it was flat, because they're acting.
If you actually think about it, all the characters were kind of flat. Like, except I feel like Tuco is the one that has the most personality. All the characters.
He
brings a lot of personality to the film.
Because like Blondie is kind of like the typical hero. No, he's not necessarily a hero, but like, he's kind of like kind of basic. Because I mean, like, he does work for money too, but like he's like, I don't know. There's not like a lot of personality, I guess. Because we learn about Tuco's family and all this other stuff, but like with Blondie, we don't really know about his backstory or anything like that, you know. Like there's
I
also
feel like in a way, he's a lot like Angel Eyes, but more in like a heroic way. Cause he does the same as Angel Eyes. Angel Eyes worked with the prison though, so maybe he was more like, he had a job kind of. But for the most part, him and Blondie were kind of the same. Like, they were both serious. They were both like kind of like smart and witty to the extent, you know. The only difference was that Angel Eyes was a little more evil, and Blondie was a little more good. So
yeah,
that's just how I see it.
Yeah, like what's it called? Like Blondie's like, Colonel, it's high noon, and then like Angel Eyes is like, I keep my end of the bargain, pew pew, and then there's Tuco. He's like, go crazy, go stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, like, okay, I guess back to acting. I guess we kind of went into like characters right there. But,
Yeah, okay.
but like the actors, like I feel like they all did good with what they had. Like they played they did really good. Like their acting was actually pretty good. You know?
Yeah.
Like I actually
Acting
like
was good.
I didn't get pulled away from the like the. I was really invested in the movie because of the actors.
Honestly, I think that the acting pushed the movie more than the story did, in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
the like the script, like not the script, but the story itself was like, it was enough to get like the characters across and like to like move the story forward. But I feel like a lot of the film itself came from the acting, and like you felt the film mainly from
basically-
the acting than from the story itself.
Yeah, basically of the film were the acting and the cinematography, not the story.
Yeah, the cinematography played a lot into the film. I think like.
Yeah, like the zooms in, like the zoom in, like the close-ups, and all those
Yeah,
types of shots.
in general, like the camera work for the film did a lot for the movie as well. Like I feel like a lot of how do I say, a lot of scenes in the movie were made like really like larger than life, especially with like the music, the composition of the film. It was really good, and that helped into the cinematography a lot. And like because of like with the combination of the cinematography of the camera, mainly the camera, and the music they used, or the score for the film, it made scenes, it put a lot into scenes basically.
There was
And
a
then
lot
mixed
of
in with the acting.
close-ups,
Yeah,
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 like
the-
the,
and like in the like we can go into like the final scene, where they're all like in the face-off. Like they all
Also,
like there was a lot of close-ups, and it was just like, even though it was a really long scene, they like it was important for it to be long, so it could like set the
Like,
tension of the scene. You get me? Like
yeah. But do you guys think they overuse? Well, like, don't you guys think they use the same song over like repeatedly? Like,
well,
I feel like that's sort of important.
that's kind of like part of the film. Like to me,
well, that's true, but like they use it so much, like every like few seconds, like every 5 seconds, they always have to put the song.
I don't think, well, not every 5 seconds, but like honestly, when thinking back to it,
Like, it's
it was excessive, but like in the moment, you don't feel it. You don't feel like the excessiveness. Kind of like watching the film, because it feels like it's part. It feels more like it feels belonging, kind of like it doesn't feel too like excessive until you give it thought. So
Like
I
if you
don't
think
know, I
about
don't
it, they
think-
used it a lot, but it was like I feel like it was kind
yeah,
of like I don't know. I feel like it was like a reminder of what you're watching. I don't know, because like it was. I mean, it's a Western movie. But like, I feel like every
Yeah,
time like I feel like every time a character would like walk in, like in the very beginning, but like, each time a character's introduced, they would like put like this song. Right,
Yeah,
like,
but I
like,
get
the
that.
bad or... So, we could talk about now. How does the film like hold up today? And with today's
Yeah.
standards of movies, like how is it different from like modern films? You know, like obviously, like, I guess we could point out like one of the most like obvious detail or differences between those movies and modern movies. You actually don't really
Is this-
see like Western movies anymore.
based on my
Like,
calculations,
modern
I
day.
think you guys have like
yeah. After
Or-
like a heavy saturation in the market for Western movies, like it kind of died down a lot. Like past the 90s, you barely saw any Western movies, other than like a few iconic ones. But other than that, like the Western scene had died a lot, especially with the
Yeah.
upcoming of the superhero genre in film. Like a lot of other genres got pushed out a lot. Yeah, you can. It's
So I
like
feel like you feel like the Western back then, like the Western films were really popular. But like when you look at them now, they're like except for that one, like that one's a pretty good Western. But most Western films, they're kind of like kind of bore you. And if you look at it, those kinds of movies today, they feel like pretty boring.
Yeah,
Western.
compared to
Yeah.
like what like technological advances in terms of like filmmaking, movie making, Western films are seen as like really behind, kind of. Or like, a lot of people like a
Yeah.
lot of how do I say it? A lot of directors. Hold on. I'm a clip.
Yeah, you're clipping.
Okay, sorry. A lot of like directors in film right now like to show off like CGI. A lot.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a lot. That's like very
Like
prominent
Michael
nowadays,
Bay's
kinda.
films, most like for like bringing up a director, Michael Bay, like he like really loves using like over excessive like action.
Yeah, like explosions.
Or like
Yeah.
CGI. I mean, in his action scene. Like
Yeah.
if like most people like refer to him as that guy like who uses
Mhm.
over excessively using those like CGI stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of in general, a lot of directors nowadays like to show that off, kind of, or like at least like use some sort of CGI or like modern post processing effect in their films to make it look really good.
It's really good.
That westerns don't have a spot in that too much.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
get
because like the way the way they are, like the gunfights, they're not very hard to like kind of like spruce up, and you can't really do much with the scenery in the film. It's in like the film genre itself in terms of like modern production.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is, but
I mean, there was the good, the bad, the ugly is part. Isn't it like part of? It's part of a trilogy,
it is.
isn't it? Like because there's
Yeah,
also a fistful of dollars.
It's a prequel, basically.
Yeah,
like
it's a prequel to
other-
like the 2 other movies. So like this,
I
like
know.
Sergio Leone, like the director, right? Like he has a lot of Western movies. Look at them. If you look
Yeah,
at the
he
movies
does.
made, he has a lot of Western. Like it's kind of like what he like looking at today's standards. Like if you were to come back, would it be well received? Because like I mean, he is dead, but I'm not saying here. Like if they were to make if he was to make another movie, would it be like? Oh. Because he did make a lot of Western movies, and like that's kind of his make Western movies.
Mhm.
So I'm just asking, like, what do you guys think?
Honestly, I feel like at least in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly, this movie had a lot of like they had a lot of unique cinematography, and like he had his style in this movie was very unique to what we have now. So I
Yeah.
feel like it'd be it would definitely be like
It'd be like a throwback kind of thing.
I wouldn't say a throwback because like, a lot of people like not in general, he had some cinematography stuff that weren't used at all at the time, and they're not even used now. Like some certain things like the good, bad, ugly thing, the opening scene that he
Yeah.
had done, that stuff like that isn't used at all. Well, maybe like every now and then there'll be a film that does something like that, but for the most part his cinematography style was unique even to his time, and I feel
Yeah.
like because of that it would be well received in that sense. But then again, I also feel like nowadays, especially with the shift in culture towards diversity, the movie would get a lot of like flack because of its casting.
Yeah, like adding to what you said, like the final scene, like how it's really long, right? Like it's a really long like pause, like because it's like they're just all like looking. It's the close-ups, right? And that scene's super long, and like I feel like nowadays, I think Mr. Lee talked about this, right? Like nowadays, like they just try to like they don't ever act. They're never long anymore. Like there's never long scenes anymore because they just want to get straight to the point, quick.
Yeah.
Like you don't really see those long scenes anymore in these movies.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Generally, yeah. Actually, they don't use long scenes anymore at all. People like to go straight to the action.
Like even
I get what you
in
mean.
the horror films where it would fit. You get me? Like in horror films, like you might see it like occasionally, but I feel like there's always something happening. Like maybe there's like a guy walking through like a hallway or something. It's really like intense, But like it's like in this, it's like I don't know. It's a bit different because it's just staring. Like it's just eyes. It's not like something happening.
Yeah, I don't generally think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
While it does seem kind of stretched out, it adds to the movie. Like it doesn't feel out of place in the movie in like the cinematography context. So I think it's not bad in like addition, and I think that in that sense that part of the movie would still hold up nowadays.
Yeah. Like it's like you start to think more about why the director put it in the movie, and like it kind of shows like it doesn't feel like it's trying to like have more time, like it makes time. It just feels like it's genuinely being like there's a reason why it's there. You know?
Yeah.
That's what we're just looking at right now. You know, obviously like, there's a reason why it's because it's like an intense scene and stuff like that. It makes sense.
Yeah, I feel yeah, in general, generally speaking, I think that like the cinematography in the film would definitely hold up nowadays. Maybe not like, because it doesn't have CGI at all. And I think that might seem like weird, but a lot of like kind of avant-garde movies, like the experimental ones nowadays, don't really use as much CGI. Like they avoid using CGI. I noticed a lot. Like with the one movie Get Out, that one that came out recently, that one didn't use any CGI. Like I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm not actually like 100% sure, but like from what I've seen, it didn't use any CGI, and I think that like that added to the movie instead of like taking away from it. Since a lot of movie makers think that CGI is basically like almost a necessity in films. I don't want to say that, but like like it's like like a lot of filmmakers use it a lot.
Yeah, I get you.
I think that like not having CGI wouldn't take away from the film, especially with movies like Get Out are able to do so well without CGI at all.
If we look at like even like indie films, you know, like independent films where it's just like it's not like a whole company, like even like they have a small budget. Even when they have a small budget, there's still like some sort of CGI in, you know, like they kind of feel like it's necessary even though it's not really. So,
Yeah,
we could we could end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in to the JJ podcast. You know, Jovan and Jerrel.
The JJ podcast with guest star Brandon.
Yes, it was a pleasure.
So yeah,
Brandon, do you have any closing words? Do you have any closing words, Brandon, about the film?
Closing words. Would you look at the time? It's high noon.
hello.